Hello, it's Sadie. Guess I'm making this video today. Wasn't sure, but it keeps coming up. And when something comes up for me multiple times in a very short period of time, I know that it's guidance for me to talk about it. It is a windy, rainy day, so I apologize for any background noise with the wind. This is going to be the dark truths of spiritual awakening. And we today are going to talk about spiritual psychosis and spiritual burnout. Because I think a lot of people talk about spiritual psychosis. Some of the people aren't talking about things, though, that cause spiritual psychosis that I wanted to put in this video. But equally, spiritual burnout is a real thing. And prolonged burnout can bring in spiritual psychosis. So I thought it was important to add that into this video. Please remember, one size does not fit all. My guides are always telling me that, and it is the absolute truth. Each and every one of us have a different soul path, have a different soul contract, have different things that we are meant to learn in this incarnation. And so some of this may apply to you, some of it may not apply to you. Please don't make it fit if it doesn't. The other thing I want to say is this video is going to bring up some topics that can bring fear. And so if you're just in kind of a weird space already, this may not be the video for you to watch. I'm not here to bring fear, but to be forewarned is to be forearmed. Okay? So spiritual psychosis. What is spiritual psychosis? Spiritual psychosis can be considered like a mental health condition or a mental disturbance in which people lose touch with reality. You can have spiritual psychosis regardless of your spirituality. So you can be religious and have spiritual psychosis. You can be on a spiritual path like this and have spiritual psychosis. It really can impact anyone. And I think, we hear a lot about it, or I hear a lot about it in like different sort of like new age communities and witchy communities and stuff like that. But it actually can happen if you follow a traditional religious path. So traditional Christian, traditional Muslim, other religions, you can still experience spiritual psychosis. Okay. Some of the things that can cause spiritual psychosis. All right. So we're going to get into the causes. We're going to get into how to protect yourself. And we're just gonna talk about it just so that you are aware. If you are ever having any of these symptoms or experiencing any of these things, you kind of know what to do to help and protect yourself. Okay. So one of the main causes of spiritual psychosis is people doing too much too soon. And what I mean by that is, like, I saw a video on TikTok about a week ago, 2 weeks ago, maybe, of a woman who was warning people about opening their third eye. And she went through kind of all the things she did to force her third eye open, and then her experiences afterwards that she wasn't really ready for. So she had a bit of a spiritual psychosis because when she fully opened her third eye, she wasn't fully prepared to see and know some of the things that she got to see and know. And that is one of the major red flags, okay? On a spiritual journey, if you're meant to have a wide open third eye immediately, your guides will facilitate that. If you're not, don't force it to happen. This also goes for like people who have spontaneous Kundalini awakenings and sometimes find themselves into psychosis because of that. Same thing. It's like too much energy in the channel and it sort of short circuits the channel. A good example of this in the real world is, say you have a lamp and the lamp says, please do not use a light bulb that is, stronger than 60 watts. And you say, yes, but I have this 250 watt light bulb and I want a lot of light in the room, so I'm going to put this light bulb into this lamp. Some of the things that could happen is like you literally short circuit the lamp, you blow the fuses because it wasn't built for that level of energy to go through it, that current to go through it. Or you start a fire because again it said please only use 60 and you're using something that's much larger. So that's kind of the same thing with the body. Okay, as above so below, as within so without. We all have different levels of consciousness. We all come in with different gifts. We all come in with a different energy frequency, a different energy vibration. Sometimes, if you are trying to do too much too soon, to open your third eye, to astral travel, to really, and these things are advanced spiritual things. They're advanced spiritual techniques. They're advanced spiritual gifts. If you're trying to advance yourself too quickly, you could end up in a situation where you have spiritual psychosis, where you have a lot of mental disturbance, where you don't know what's real from what isn't, where you're not grounded in reality. And that can be very dangerous for you and everyone around you. And so, first and foremost, it's always great to be excited. You know, you learn a new thing, you start a new thing, you're excited about it, you're growing spiritually, you're excited about it. But just understand that there are limits and boundaries, and there's a reason why, you know, it's good to take steps, incremental steps. You know, if you have a 2-month-old baby, you're not feeding them an entire steak. They can't process it, they can't chew it, they don't have teeth yet. So just understand, like, your guides will only give you what you can handle, but oftentimes we will go by our ego and what the ego wants, like wanting to take on everything at one time. And that's a sign of the ego. The ego needs to have it now. It needs to be quick. It needs to be fast. It needs to understand everything right now in this moment. And if you notice yourself in that space and you're taking on more spiritual techniques and more, just doing more practices to like open up your third eye, but you're starting to have what I would call some scary experiences where you're like slipping in and out of reality, where you're not sure what's real or not, take a step back. Take a step back, pray, ask your guides, ask your angels, is this for my best and highest good? They will let you know. A lot of times too, for me, I'm very grateful, even though I get frustrated, my ego gets frustrated. I am very grateful that my guides, like if something's not for me, they will block it from me. And you can say that. You can have that relationship with your guidance. If it's not for me, if it's too much too soon, if it's not for my highest good, block it from me, because they will. You'll see that there's resistance. You'll see that you can't do certain things. Okay. So that is one way to cause spiritual psychosis, is when you do too much too soon. Here's the second part. This is where this video is going to get a little woo-woo, a little dark. Okay. Fair warning, trigger warning. If you want to leave now, exit now. Another thing that causes spiritual psychosis that I do not hear people talking about enough is entity possession. When we are on the spiritual path and we're opening up to different energies and we're starting to channel, you have to understand, not every being is a being of light. Not every being is a being of love. You literally can ask, when you start connecting to other dimensional beings, interdimensional beings, extraterrestrials, angelics, whatever, you can ask them, are you of the highest frequency of unconditional love from source? They will tell you the truth, or they will get defensive and be like, why are you questioning? If any being that you're working with gets defensive, that's not a light being, okay? Just fair warning. So just understand that entity possession can cause spiritual psychosis. Some of the ways to create entity possession is by working with beings and entities that, again, are not light beings. What you have to understand is that the physical world is a hologram, is a matrix. It feels real. It seems real, but it is not more real than the energetic ethereal world. Everything is energy. And so it starts from the energetic ethereal world. And so understand that there's a lot of energies, there's entities, there's other things that live in that other world, in what is often called a fourth dimensional space. Okay? Just because you don't see it doesn't mean it's not real, doesn't mean it doesn't exist, it doesn't mean that others can't see it. And so there's a lot of beings in that space that need a physical vessel to work through on the physical realm. This could be light beings where you're working with angels and other ascended masters that are attuning you to their frequency and their energy for you to do healing work in this realm, for you to do other spiritual work in this realm that's helpful to others, that's serving the good of all. But there are other energies and entities that live in that space that need a physical vessel, because we are the creative source. If you are of God, if you have a organic human soul, then you are of source and you have the power of creation within you. You are fractal of God. Understand your power. Those entities that have turned away from God, I'm talking about the dark beings, the things that are not of the light, they don't have the same creative power. They get power to create through you, through your physical vessel. That's how powerful you are. That's why in the movie The Matrix, if you've ever seen the movie The Matrix, the first one where Neo takes a red pill, gets awakened, enlightened, whatever, and he sees that all the babies are hooked up to this machine and they're all sort of like a battery source for the entity, for the machine. That is what human beings, we are the battery source. We are the power source in the physical. God is everything, God is everywhere, but in the physical, that's why you can manifest, because you have the creative energy, the source energy to create. So understand that that's a very powerful thing. And other beings, other entities don't have that. If they've turned away from God, if they're no longer of light, they're more of a parasitic energy that needs a life source to create from. And so a lot of people will, especially certain practitioners that do baneful magic and black magic and stuff, they actually are working with an entity, like a demonic entity or some other low entity that is creating in the physical for them, but through that entity. Okay. A good example of this was back in April. There was an astrologer. She had a decent following. I think she had, 100,000 maybe on YouTube, maybe a little bit more than that, more or less somewhere, but she was very, very popular on Twitter and other platforms. Mystic X Lipstick. Some of you may have heard this story. Popular astrologer unalived her partner, unalived her baby, and threw her daughter out of the car. Her older daughter, thank God, survived, but she crashed into a tree because she was saying something bad was coming to the eclipse. After all this happened, everybody was saying it's spiritual psychosis. Yes, yes. However, some of her former friends got on TikTok and were saying, listen, we were friends, but she was doing black magic on me. She was siphoning my energy. She was trying to still, or she felt like I was competition to the work that she was doing because I work in the same sphere, and she was trying to attack me. There was one astrologer, I think his name is Starheal, where she got into like 5 to 7 car accidents within a year or 2 years. And she knew that it was because she was being worked on negatively. There was another person that was a close friend of hers who ended up in a really tragic car accident where he himself survived, but his best friend passed away. And again, both of them said she was possessed. She was possessed. She was not herself. And the reason why she got into the darker stuff is because she wanted to grow her channel, her platform. And so she was using darker magic tools and certain things to build herself up, to build up her numbers, to build her success at the expense of others. This created that entity possession that created the attachment. And as a result, she had a complete spiritual psychosis, crash out, unalived her partner, took her children in a car, was going down the freeway very fast, threw her kids out of the car. Again, the baby passed away, but her daughter survived. Her older daughter survived. And then she crashed herself into a tree. Understand, these things are real. And when you are working with energies and entities that you don't quite understand, and you're doing it to build yourself up, to bring wealth and luck and fame and all these things to yourself at the expense of hurting others, this realm is about balance. That's why there's duality, light and dark, hot and cold. Karma is also about balance. It's the balancing mechanism. It's a law of balance in this realm. So people can put themselves in positions where they get very imbalanced. They're doing spiritual work for their ego, which will create some level of entity possession. And there's going to be balance that's going to come in, especially in 2025. And that's why I'm doing this video, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. The other thing with entity possession is like opening up your field with alcohol, with drugs. You want to keep your vessel clean. Your body is a sacred sanctuary, just making sure the mic is still on. And so you need to keep it clean. Be mindful of what you eat. Be mindful of what you drink. Be mindful of what you consume. Be mindful of who is in your body. Yes, I mean intimately. Not everybody is for your highest good. And if someone already has some sort of entity attachment on them, that is something that can be transferred. STI, STE, sexually transmitted entity. It can happen, okay? So you just want to be mindful. Sometimes entity possession is not necessarily from your actions, like Mystic X Lipstick, but sometimes it's just from like you not using discernment and enough spiritual protection to protect yourself from things in your environment that, again, if your auric field is lowered, if your auric field has holes and tears in it, it's easier for things to attach. It's easier for things to connect, and that could cause spiritual psychosis. Another thing that I wanted to bring in this video is like, if you are going to practitioners for love spells, for money spells, you just need to very much use your discernment and make sure that they're not working with darker entities to bring that in for you. Because again, even if that is not your intention, once you've paid money for a certain service, that is a contract. That is a covenant. And so you also could be karmically in debt with sort of getting sort of an entity possession on you if you've done any of those things. Again, this is not to scare you, but you need to understand, number one, you are powerful. You don't need magic. You are magic. You need alignment. You need balance. And One of the hardest things of 2025 is that duality is going to be at its greatest, at its strongest, at its height. But again, it's to bring in balance and personal karma this year when Saturn moves into Aries is going to be heightened. It's going to be instant. And so just know what is good for you, know your limits, know your boundaries, know who you're working with as practitioners, as readers, know what you are connecting with, and make sure it is your responsibility to make sure it is for your best and highest good and the best and highest good of all and harm to none. Okay. The other thing that can bring in spiritual psychosis is prolonged psychic attack. When you have had a lot of root work done on you, other black magic, hexes, spells, that can bring in sort of a psychosis because when everything's going wrong for a prolonged period of time, you start to feel like, God, nothing's going right. Nothing's ever going to be right. I don't know what to do. It starts to spiral you out. Okay. Again, if you feel like you've gone through any of that, like prolonged spiritual psychic attack, this is a time to be cleansing. Fast, detox your body, cleanse your entire house, throw away old things that you don't use anymore. Anything that you've gotten from anybody that you feel like maybe this person didn't give me this from the kindness of their heart, get rid of it. Sage, Palo Santo your space. Use salt, not just salt baths and not just washing and rinsing with salt and vinegar, but salt around the house, around the windows, so nothing negative can get in. Put your name in salt to cleanse your name. Pray every day. Psalms 91, Psalms 23, pray morning, noon, and night. Pray your own prayers to God. Whatever you pray to God and your angels and your guides, pray your own prayers to clear any psychic attack, clear any spiritual attack, but just pray. Be prayed up. When you are in that vibration of alignment with your guides, with your authentic truth, with source, you are naturally protected. And so if you feel like you're in a situation where you're being psychically attacked, start praying to avoid spiritual psychosis, to avoid any further harm to you or to any area of your life. One of the ones that I really like, this is for Archangel Michael. All right, Archangel Michael, I call upon you in your band of mercy, and I ask for your protection physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. I ask for protection around my home, around my family. I say their names. Around my possessions, I say like my car, whatever. And I ask for the removal of all negative energies, all negative entities, all negative forces, and all negative influences in our life, known and unknown. I ask that all of these negative energies, entities, influences, and forces in our life is brought to the violet transmuting flame. And that is completely transmuted. All the negative energy is completely transmuted for our best and highest good. I also ask that the white light of unconditional love purifies that energy. And I return that energy to source so that it can no longer cause harm on any level, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and financially. And then I ask you, Archangel Michael, to shield and protect me, to shield and protect, and I name my family members, to shield and protect my car, to shield and protect my money, to shield and protect my possessions from any further harm from this moment on out in this reality or any other reality, timeline, dimension, or multidimensional aspect of me associated with me. I am taking action on the physical level, and I ask for your polarity response to this action on the physical level for my highest good and my highest protection here and now and forevermore. so be it, and it is done. Something as simple as that. But prolonged spiritual attacks, prolonged psychic attack, as someone who's gone through it for a long time, I'll tell you what, I am protected because I stay prayed up, because I'm always praying. When the attack is more, that's when I'm praying more. When things are heavier and I feel more density in the air, that's when I'm making sure to keep my energetic vessel clear, pure, and balanced. Balance is the name of the game. You want to stay out of spiritual psychosis. You want to stay away from entity possession. You want to clear yourself of heavy psychic attack. Be balanced. But being balanced is knowing your energetic barometer. What can you handle? What can't you handle? It is setting healthy energetic boundaries. And this goes to the fourth one, spiritual burnout. Spiritual burnout is a cause for spiritual psychosis. And when I'm saying spiritual burnout, I am specifically talking into the readers, the seers, the healers, people who do spiritual work, Reiki masters, all of that. We take on so much energy, not just from our clients, but from the collective at whole, because we are always cleansing, we are always clearing, we are always transmuting. And when you are starting to feel tired, when you are feeling in a low vibrational space, when you are feeling exhausted, doubt, sadness, it's so important to take a step back. That's why this month, if you notice, I have done less lives. I have not been on as much. I have done less live readings because I was feeling tired. I was feeling burnt out and I needed a break. And then Spirit said, you need more of a break. And then I got sick. So very, very important for those who do spiritual work to really be careful, be mindful of spiritual burnout. If you're not feeling it, say no. If you can't take on more clients right now, say no. Rest is self-care. Rest is rejuvenation. Rest is protection. Rest is peace. You cannot play about your rest, even if you need the money. Trust me, when you are in a space where you are resting and you are nurturing and caring for yourself, God will bring you the money. Spirit will bring you the money. Spirit will bring you more than what you lost by saying no to someone because you just didn't have the time or you didn't have the capacity energetically to do the healing work or do the reading for them. And so, again, just very, very important to not put yourself in an ungrounded, imbalanced space where you're not in touch with reality, where you're feeling like overwhelmed. Some signs of spiritual psychosis too. So those were some of the things that cause spiritual psychosis. Some of the signs of spiritual psychosis are when you're overly emotional, like everything makes you cry, you cannot handle your emotions, you feel like you're crashing out. This is a time to rest, to take a step back, to start praying, to cleanse and clear your energy. And those are like some of the early signs. Another early sign is prolonged paranoia or fear. And what I mean by that is like, you know, right now we are in a space where they are trying to make us fearful of what's coming next. And the energy is not the best. I mean, as a reader, as an intuitive, as a psychic, yeah, we're not in the best energy, but like I purposely have not paid any attention to the D thing that's happening. Like I just don't have the capacity to give my attention and energy to it. And so for those who know, you know, I'm not going to say the word Dior bags. But you know, it's just like they're trying to make people fearful of attacks. And so when you're in a space, prolonged mental space of fear and paranoia, you are more susceptible to psychosis. Another thing that is an early sign of psychosis is where you are just completely obsessed with something and you just can't let it go. Um, Trigger warning, okay? But some people on the twin flame journey need to take a step back. If you're watching videos constantly, if you're obsessively thinking about your twin constantly, if you're in a space where like you are triggered by the littlest thing, you crash out because you're watching their social media and you see a post where they say happy birthday to someone and they didn't say happy birthday to you, and it spirals you out of control. That is a sign of like the beginning stages of psychosis, and you need to take a step back. You need to stop watching videos. You need to stop trying to understand. When you need to know, spirit will bring you what you need to know when you need it. But if you're in a space where it's actually causing you pain and harm and you can't function, that is not balanced, that is not healthy, and that is not for your best and highest good. So last year, I'm not going to say the person's name. This was last year, okay, 2023. I was doing regular readings for someone, and every single reading was literally the same, of the message of just like calm down, take a step back, they're going to come forward, you just can't force them, because this person was very much chasing their divine counterpart. Every single reading was the same. I got to the point where I told this person, unless there's been a change of circumstances, I'm actually not going to read for you until there's been a change of circumstances. They contacted me, said there's been a change of circumstances. Okay, I said, what was a change of circumstances? Oh, there's been communication. Okay. I did a reading, and the reading was not what this person wanted to hear. The change of circumstances, though, was that this person tracked their DM down after they had been blocked and sent them something in the mail or wherever they lived, and then got communication as a result of their actions. So she didn't tell me the whole thing, but then when I did the reading, I could see like DM was not happy, DM was pissed, DM didn't want anything to do with that situation. And so I did the reading, and this person got vilely angry at me. For months, you've been telling me this is what's going to happen. For months, you've been, and I feel like she did that because she wanted another reading and I had told her no. So she went out of her way to do something extreme that I did not recommend. Kept saying, just hold back, calm down. Person's going through a lot in their life right now. Just relax. Like, it's going to happen. And I know that other readers, because she was going to multiple other readers, and she would tell me that other readers were telling her the same thing. But then she took this extreme action and she got an extreme response. And then it was my fault. And it was, you've been just lying to me this whole time, and you've been this and blah, 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 blah. It is the first time and the only time that I've ever had to block someone from the channel, block the client. I'm like, if you want a refund, I'm happy to refund you all the money that you've spent this year, because I don't want nothing to do with you. They didn't take that. They didn't take the refund or anything like that. But I say this with love and respect. But again, if you are in a space where you are chasing someone down who has blocked you, and you're sending things to their house and invading their wishes and crossing their boundaries, and then upset at a reader or anybody else, like, that is psychosis. You are not mentally well. You are not okay. You are not okay. And that has nothing to do with anybody who's read for you, has nothing to do with any video that you've watched on YouTube. That has to do with you. And so, with love and compassion, if you feel like you're in that sort of space around your twin, around your DM, like, please, for your own mental health, your own balance, your own boundaries, stop watching videos, unsubscribe, start meditating and focusing on self-love and focusing on healing yourself, because you are only going to crash out and cause more problems and more situations for yourself and others if you are trying to force something. Love is not force. Light is not force. God doesn't force us to do anything. We have free will, free choice. Because we're loved so much, we're given that level of power. Like, you get to choose. We don't have free will, free choice in every aspect of our lives. There's certain things that are fated. There's certain things that we came to learn and grow through and that we have to experience, of course. But, I can go and decide what I'm going to go eat today. I can go and decide what I'm going to do today. That's free will. So just understand, if you feel like you are not in any level of your own free will, you may be experiencing the early stages of spiritual psychosis. And it's important for you to completely take a step back from everything that's putting you in that space, if you have the awareness of it. Okay. If you notice too, this year I have not done as many divine masculine videos because of it. It's not just because of that. It's because of my own situation too. But I just, like, I needed to take a step back. and it's just important that, like, if you realize, like, hey, you're burnt out, you're tired, you need to take a step back, or you're experiencing any of those symptoms where it's like just complete obsession, trying to force something to fit, trying to force something to be something. If you're, in a space where you're like, everything's trying to harm me, Chicken Little, the sky is falling. If you're feeling very mentally, emotionally disturbed, where you can't regulate your emotions, those are signs, and the early signs. And, like, take action now to heal yourself, to protect yourself, to just completely take a step back. Go within. You don't need any YouTube videos. You don't need any more readings. You really just need to go within and talk to your guides and love yourself, and get back to a place of spiritual balance and equilibrium for yourself. Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I wanted to bring through in this video. Again, ways to protect yourself. With a honk. Okay, protection. One way to protect yourself, again, is just understanding that one size does not fit all. And when you can understand that, you won't compare your spiritual gifts, you won't compare your spiritual journey to anybody else, and you'll start going within and asking your guides for specific guidance for you, for your own journey, for what you need, for what is for your best and highest good. Okay. The other thing is, peace is protection. So if you find yourself disturbed in any way, do what you can do to find peace. Peace may be going outside in nature and grounding. Peace may be swimming. Peace may be taking a hot shower. Peace may be watching a funny movie. Like, my guides are always telling me peace is protection, because peace, when you're in a state of peace, like, nothing's wrong, you're calm, you're balanced, like, it's all good, right? The other thing for protection is purification. There's many, many ways to purify. So purify your mind, your thoughts, and your emotions by not watching readings, not watching as much YouTube, not watching as much social media, really tuning out of mass consciousness, not watching the news, not watching things that are going to put you in a fear-based space. So what you consume matters. This is what you bring into your mental and emotional awareness. If, watching scary movies puts you in a fearful place, don't watch scary movies, even if you like them. If you're already sort of in a place where you're feeling disturbed, don't watch scary movies, right? The other thing too is what you eat, what you consume. Staying away from excessive sugar, staying away from drugs, alcohol, certain things that lower your auric field, lower your vibration. Detoxing, doing parasite cleanse, doing heavy metal cleanse, doing candida cleanses, or even just vegan cleanse, like just cleansing your body. Detoxing from chemicals, cooking more, eating more whole foods, eating more real foods, eating more of a raw diet will help you detox. And you don't have to do these things for long periods of time. Like you can literally do 3 days to a week, but that can totally reset your energy and reset your vibration. Fasting where you're not eating food also does help to cleanse the mind, the body, the spirit. Again, I am not a doctor. I am not a medical professional. One size does not fit all. So if you're wanting to do certain cleanses or certain fasts, definitely tap into and ask your medical professional what would be healthy and good for you. All right. And prayer. To me, like, you can sage, you can crystals, you can Palo Santo, you can use certain sprays, you can salt. All of those things are helpful, but nothing is more powerful than prayer, because it is you invoking the divine within you and invoking your guidance and invoking your protection. Do the prayer I did with for Archangel Michael in the middle of this. Do whatever other prayer that makes you feel good, makes you feel protected. Psalms 91, Psalms 23, the whole book of Psalms, most of the prayers in there can help bring in spiritual protection for you. Other prayers from other religious texts, if you are inclined to certain other religions, there's some beautiful Buddhist prayers, there's some beautiful other prayers and chants that are very, very helpful, very, very protective. Pray every day. Make prayer a part of your main spiritual practice. Stay prayed up. So now here's the last part of the video. Why this is coming through so strongly right now, why it's important, is because in 2025, one of the hardest things that is going to hit everybody hard, spiritually or not, is the age of Aquarius is also the age of accountability, where you have to take personal accountability for your energy, for your life, for what's working, for what isn't. Okay. Again, this is not punishment, but it is like, hey, is this working for you? If no, why are you putting more energy? Why are you putting more time? Why are you putting more effort into it? Is this serving your best and highest good? Like, everything is going to kind of show you what is out of balance. And you are accountable for yourself. You are accountable to put yourself back into balance. You are accountable for living your authentic truth. And you are accountable for knowing your energetic boundaries. What works for you, what doesn't. In 2025, you're going to see an uptick of spiritual psychosis in both spiritual communities and religious communities, because of the things that are going to happen in the world, because of changes and rapid changes that are going to take place. People are going to have this sort of like existential crisis. The time period that we're coming into, that my guides keep telling me for 2025, especially in the United States, it's like the dark night of the soul for the United States, because They have to figure out, they being all of us collectively, has to figure out what we truly value and what we truly believe in, because what we say we value is not what we actually value. Yeah, and there's going to be conflict there. And so part of this energy, but it's not just going to hit the United States, it's hitting the world, is part of the energy of growth, part of the energy of evolution, is really having to see the truth of things, but equally see the truth of self. One of the things I always say, my spiritual awakening really revealed to me who I am. All of me. The light aspects, the dark aspects, my strength that I never knew that I had, but also traumas and stuff that were buried so deep down that I had to confront, I had to look at. It showed me, it revealed all. There was no stone left unturned. This is what the world is coming into. And so for many people, they're going to have crisis of faith or an absence of faith. They're going to feel like faith failed them. They're going to feel like their belief systems failed them because everything that they thought was true, they're going to see wasn't actually what it seemed. And so even though there's going to be an increase of spiritual growth and spiritual evolution, with that is going to be an increase of spiritual psychosis and spiritual burnout. You're going to see people crashing out left and right. You're also going to see the truth of people kind of like Mystic X Lipstick, who built their spiritual brand on harming others. They're going to crash out because, again, this realm is about balance, and they're going to get their personal karma in ways in which, you know, there's a lot of readers who, great readers, but aren't doing it from a place of love, aren't doing it from a place of light. And so the true intention, the true essence of the energy is going to be revealed. And again, for some, seeing the truth of themselves is going to be the hardest part, and being accountable for what comes as a result of their actions is going to be the hardest part for them, where they're going to crash out in that way, where they harm themselves and others, where they harm their families, because they were never in actual truth. They were never in actual alignment. You cannot cosplay spiritual teaching, and you cannot skip the initiation phases or jump to the front of the line. Like, there is a balancing mechanism. As above, so below, as within, so without. If you've done black magic like she did, putting a bunch of people, like, you know, death spells and car accident spells and stuff like that, like, as above, so below. She got what she was doing to other people. And so part of the reason why I'm making this video is because that's what people, you're going to see that. You're going to see all of it. It's going to be very, very clear. For some, it's going to be very sad. For some, it could be like, you know, people with big, big followings that you watch and you love their content, and you see that they're not who they claim to be, or they've gotten their success in ways in which has hurt and harmed other people. Equally, for those who are just here to make a paycheck, and you're going to see that too, and see where they go into psychosis, because again, as I just said, you cannot cosplay spiritual teaching. You are the living embodiment of the energy of the divine. And so if you're not in that authentic aspect of yourself, sharing and giving of yourself in a way that's authentic to you, if you're just doing it for numbers and money and page views, like, there's going to be a balancing mechanism to that. So just be mindful that that's what's coming. I'm going to do the 2025 video. I'm going to call it the 2025 survival guide. I'll talk about some of this stuff. I'll talk about some of the stuff I brought into the Mars retrograde, and I'm going to talk about the other astrology. But like, it gets real. It gets more real than it's ever been. Don't let that fear you. You are here for a specific purpose, for a specific reason, for times such as this. But just, it is so important to know yourself. Know your grounding techniques, know your spiritual practices, know when you need a break and to take a step back, know when certain things aren't working, you need to let them go. Part of spiritual growth and spiritual evolution is like, not everything's going to work at all levels of your spiritual advancement. And at any level of spiritual advancement, you can have spiritual psychosis and spiritual burnout. Okay. It's not just for the newbies. It can happen to the most seasoned people. Really just set healthy boundaries for yourself and know your limits. Know when you just can't do it, and don't force yourself to do something that you know you shouldn't be doing. Don't race to the finish line. Divine timing's always at play. It's funny, this past month, I've just been so busy and so tired, and spirits having me go back to basics. I started listening to meditations that I haven't listened to in years, but they've been so helpful and just so healing and so helping me to come into peace. It's just important to listen to the guidance that you are receiving right now for yourself. It is your protection, it is your survival guide, and it's what's going to keep you sane in an absolutely sane, grounded, and balanced, in an absolutely insane, ungrounded, unbalanced world. Okay. So I think that's all I want to bring through in this video. If I get other things that want to come through, I'll do a second video to this. But I'm sending everybody love. Keep your mind pure. Keep your heart pure. Keep your soul pure. Keep your body pure. Keep your intentions pure. Keep the purity of the light that is within you. And you will not just survive, but thrive in 2025 and beyond. All right. Sending you love. Take good care of yourself. Rest is required if you are feeling tired. Take care.